time for another episode of the Roth Guy, and this week we're going to talk about what is a Roth and what are the basics we need to know when thinking about the different types of accounts that we have out there for saving for our future. Let's get into it.
Flying high above the metropolis, it's the Roth Guy with holistic wealth advisor Jude Wilson.
Hey everybody, welcome into the podcast with Jude Wilson and myself here to talk investing, finance, retirement. The Roth Guy with me once again. Jude, I'm going to put you on the spot and just have you break down the basics this week. We'll go back to school, if you will, for folks who, they may know this stuff, they may not, but either way, it's a good refresher to just kind of understanding the basics of these kinds of accounts that we use when saving for our future. So we'll talk about it this week. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Glad to be back.
Always glad to have you here. So, Roth Guy, since you're the Roth Guy, let's just kind of start with the basic fundamentals of what is a Roth IRA?
Yeah, I think we should all have some understanding of it, because if you're building toward your retirement or building your net worth, you need to know that these things are available to you.
We hope you are anyway, right?
Right.
You need to be. Old age is coming for all of us. So,
hey, it's undefeated.
That's right. That's right.
When people talk to financial advisors, generally they think of investing. And they've heard that old saying a million times: don't put all your eggs in one basket, diversify. A true financial advisor, financial professional is going to talk about more than just investing. They're going to look holistically, and they're going to talk about tax diversification in addition to investment diversification. And that's something that rarely gets discussed. So let's jump into it from there, and we'll circle around and bring to account what the Roth really is. So when you think about where your money goes, after you received your paycheck, your income from whatever source, there's really three filters, if you will.
What you mean besides to the gas tank and the groceries and
absolutely
where else it goes? Okay, I'm with you. All right.
And anything FSU for me, but that's a whole nother topic.
All right.
So, you've got your pre-tax filter where you've received your income, but you haven't paid federal income tax on it. It goes into an account like a 401k, an IRA, 403b, some type of account that the money stays sheltered in. And that money can grow without any taxes on those dollars until you pull those dollars out.
Right.
And most people are.
That's what most of us do, right, Jude? That's what we've been taught is for years and years and years. Just kick that thing down the road. We'll deal with it later, right?
And I love the way you said kick it down the road, because kind of like our national debt, if you keep on kicking it down the road, that may cause a problem. And in future episodes, we're going to talk about the problem that really could cause for you, because give you a hint, you and I don't control where taxes are going in the future.
No,
I think they're going up. What about you?
Yeah, there's a pretty good chance. So
yeah.
And if you keep kicking it down the road, right, you don't know what the tax rates are going to be. That's the point. But I get it, because nobody likes paying taxes. Nobody likes dealing with it. So we're kind of taught, we hear, Jude, hey, I'm making money. I've got income coming in and I can deal with that in 30 years. Most people go, yeah, sign me up for that. I'll deal with it in 30 years.
Exactly, because they're getting a benefit today, particularly if you're paying a lot in taxes.
Yeah.
You're putting this money away and you're seeing a deduction for what you're putting away, and it feels great. But you've got a hidden partner in that account who can change the terms of the deal later on.
That's right.
And so we're at historically low rates right now. But in fact, one of the future guests that we're going to have says that tax rates could actually double in our lifetime. So if you're reading all the periodicals that are saying put all your money into these type of vehicles, you may be doing yourself a disservice.
Very true.
So that's one.
That's one. Okay, so that's the traditional IRA. That's the 401k. That's
Absolutely.
the 403b, right? Okay. So then we circle around to the Roth, and maybe the reason that the Roth has been obviously a forefront conversation for a while now, Jude, but it's also much younger. Right. It didn't start until the 90s. They kind of got going in the 90s. It really didn't get a lot of traction until mid 2000s. And then, of course, recently the Secure Act changes of the last couple of years have made it even more so, where people are like, all right, I need to take a look at this. Right. They're making a lot of changes to kind of push people towards the advantages of it. So what are they?
Absolutely. People are hearing about the advantage and getting more excited about putting money away. I talk to everyday people all the time that, 5 years ago, I was having these conversations and people were asking, what is a Roth? Now people are like, well, I got a Roth in my at my job within my 401k. Should I be? So they're aware of it, but they may not know all the ramifications and the benefits. So what exactly is it? So the Roth is an account that very much like your 401k and IRA, you put money that you've earned into the account. You don't get a tax deduction for that money, but that money is tax sheltered. And the big thing is it'll come out tax free, usually when you decide to retire. There's a couple of other rules that may allow you to pull out some money before retirement. Don't want to go get too deep in that right now. But the main thing that people should understand is that once that money is in the account, now you've got money that is sheltered and will never be taxable again upon the withdrawal.
Right, right. And so that's an advantage. It could be an advantage. Again, if you're talking about tax diversification buckets, if you will, then that could be an advantage in that way. And yeah, you're not getting that, reduction right off the top, but you know what the tax rates are right now. That's, a big part of the conversation as well. So what are some of the contribution limits for this year? Well, they change all of this stuff, Jude. They change every year, right? How much you can put into it goes up and down. Well, usually just up each year on what you can put away. So what are the current limits for 2024?
Great question. So just to make sure I have this right, I'm going to read the numbers because I don't want to make a mistake here. This is too important. So in 2024, you can contribute 100% of your earned income or $7,000, whichever is less in 2024. Now, what people may get confused with that or say, well, I'd like to contribute more. How can I do that? Well, the Roth IRA has a cousin, the Roth 401k. And with the Roth 401k, you can contribute much more than you can in the Roth IRA. But that's through your employer, or if you own your own company, you've set up that Roth 401k to have that capability to do that.
Well, you know what? Let's branch off on that for a second, because that is really, really new. The Roth 401k.
Yeah,
That's something. And again, the Secure Act changes of 2020, and well, really the more recent one, which was 2022 going into 2023. They
absolutely.
made some more changes, or maybe it was 23 going into 24. So you got to look it up sometimes. Either way, they made these changes where now a lot more companies are offering the Roth 401k, and it gives you that benefit to where, because excuse me if I'm wrong here, but Jude, on a 401k this year, you can put up to $30,000 away in a normal 401k. So if you think about merging those, it's kind of taking the best of both worlds, I suppose, and kind of smacking them together. Because a lot of times people who make a lot of money say, well, I make too much to contribute to a Roth, because there is income limits, right? So this is a nice way to kind of move around that. Am I correct there, or am I off?
You're 100% correct. So when you're looking at the Roth IRA, you start getting cut off at 146,000 and completely cut off at 160,000 of personal income, adjusted gross income for the year. But with the Roth 401k, there are no income limitations. So that's why some people believe, well, I can't contribute, but they don't know that in a Roth 401k, it takes away the income limits altogether. And that goes to another point. Knowing this information is one thing, but knowing the rules and regulation and how to work with those to best suit your situation is really best served to a financial professional to help you with that.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to depart this information. And I want to clarify too, because those income limits are for people filing single. If you're married, the income limit goes up greatly. It goes up to total cut off at 239,000. But here's the thing, and I saw this recently with a new client. Came in the office, was extremely proud of himself, and as well he should be, him and his wife, because he was contributing 100% to the Roth 401k. And he was surprised to hear when I told him that you may want to back down on that, because when you retire, you're going to have deductions that you can use toward income that you're pulling out of these types of accounts. And so you could get the best of both worlds if you understand the balance and the mix of how much should go in a traditional 401k and IRA and get a deduction this year versus how much should go in a Roth 401k and IRA and have tax-free income for the rest of your life. There's a balance there where you can get the best of both worlds, but most people don't know the math behind that, and they don't know that that actually is possible. So that's in future shows, we'll do a actual case study and go over that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the point, right? And it's trying to impart some of this information and this wisdom. So, for this guy, obviously, he was probably looking at you like you had two heads for a minute. He's probably like,
absolutely,
what?
Absolutely.
What are you?
Because everything he read said, put all of your retirement dollars in a Roth. You're young, might as well let it grow.
Right.
But you're missing out on getting some tax deductions this year that you could benefit from.
So maybe that, again, balance, looking for some of these different pieces is important. So that's why we want to kind of educate and try to provide some information. So again, if this episode is just kind of around the Roth and what's some of the, pros, cons, advantages, disadvantages, things of that nature, let's talk briefly about Roth conversions. That's a whole episode into itself. We'll
Absolutely.
do that probably here in the next couple of ones. We'll probably do a breakdown on that as well. But people have probably heard the term. And I think what happens is they get confused between Roth contribution and Roth conversion. So what's the difference?
Absolutely. I see it all the time. So we use something at our firm called the tax efficient funnels. It shows you pre-tax dollars. That's one funnel. Post-tax dollars, that's another funnel, and tax advantage funnels. And so pre-tax funnels is thinking about it as putting money away that eventually will be taxed at some point in time. Tax advantage funnels, putting money away that in the future will never be taxed. And so you can move from that one funnel, money that you've accumulated in that pre-tax funnel, you can move it over to the tax advantage funnel. But any dollar you move from this funnel to the next, you've got to pay current income taxes on. And there's so many misnomers about that. Some people feel that they can't qualify to do a Roth conversion because their income. Some people don't believe that Roth conversions are worthwhile because you've got to pay the taxes today. It's all about doing the math and seeing does it actually benefit you? And so Roth conversions are a very powerful tool. In future episodes, we'll talk about tax bracket bumping, making sure that if you're going to do a Roth conversion, that it doesn't totally destroy you as far as liability that you have to in taxes that you have to pay for this current year. So there's some strategy around it. But today, what we really wanted to do is give the audience an understanding that these things exist and that there are some real strategies around it that can help enhance what you're currently doing.
Well, and so many people have heard that, hey, do conversions because taxes are going up. We even said it on our prior episode, as people hear it all the time, you have a partner if you have a traditional 401k or if you have a traditional, IRA. And that's the government, right? So let's say, everybody tries to say, I'm trying to get to the $1 million. I want to get to that sexy round number of $1 million. Right. It's like, well, you don't have $1 million if it's in certain kinds of accounts. You maybe have, 750,000 or whatever, because Uncle Sam wants his. And so people hear, well, then if you start converting that money, right, over to a Roth, well, then you won't, have that silent partner waiting to take it from you. But you do have to pay the taxes regardless.
Absolutely.
It is not a way. I've also heard people say, well, let me do Roth conversions so I can get out of paying taxes. And really what they want to do is they want to get out of paying their RMDs future on some of these other kinds of accounts, which are required minimum distributions. Look, you're not getting out of paying the taxes. It's just about being tax efficient, right?
Yep. And there, in this day and age, there's financial advisors, financial coaches, financial influencers,
everything.
And I just don't believe people are getting all of the information that they need to make an informed decision. In one of the case studies that we'll go over in future episodes, I had a client who was very proud of himself, engineer, was doing Roth conversions every year on a hefty amount of money he had in an IRA. But when we did the math for him, we showed them that he was setting himself up for some future problems, because the more money that you convert, it counts as income for that year, and it could affect your Medicare in the future and how much you're paying for Medicare. totally blew him away when we did the math and showed him what he should be converting versus what he was doing on an annual basis.
Yeah, I learned it this way, Jude. People might be going, what are you talking about with the Medicare thing? And we'll get into that on another episode because there's a ton of stuff for us to go. We're already closing on 20 minutes. So we want to kind of keep these short for folks.
Yeah.
But I was always taught there's two people you have an aunt and an uncle that have their hand in your pocket as you get older. And it's Uncle Sam, which we're used to. And then Aunt Irma was the way I was taught about the other one. And that is the Medicare side, right? So your Aunt
Now you've been holding back. That's a great analogy. I like that.
Right? Could you tell us what the IRMA is real fast, just so people know what that is?
IRMA stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. And it's basically the additional premium that some pay on the Medicare Part B and D because of their hitting income limits. And so, this can cause a dramatic increase on your Medicare premiums. And it could be avoided. It could be avoided if you just know the math and know the strategies.
Yeah, back to that point of that guy you were talking about with doing all those Roth conversions. He was kind of, he was making Aunt Irma a little happier, so.
Right, Aunt Irma.
Yeah, she's not giving you those nice butterscotches that some of your aunts would have in their pocket, right? She's taking
money out.
She's taking money out. All right. Well, that's going to do it this week. We'll wrap it up there. We don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole. You can see, folks, how, the big thing about all this stuff when it comes to financial strategy, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s, whatever, is that you pull one lever and it affects another, right? And it does all these different kinds of things. So we don't overload you too much and get too convoluted. We'll wrap it up with just, the basics of what a Roth is. Hopefully we covered those and didn't get off on tangents too much. But that's why it's important to subscribe to the podcast so you catch future episodes so we can talk and we'll continue to break down it and we'll overlap on some of these conversation points as we go back and forth because they overlap, right? It all kinds of it plays together. Jude, basically you're always building puzzles is what you're doing is you're assembling puzzles when it comes to this stuff, right?
And making the picture clearer as we go. In fact, the last thing that I'll say is if people are like me, they're more visual people and they want to see what am I talking about as far as the tax funnels, they can download the PDF, and we have a PDF that talks exactly about what the tax funnels are and what type of accounts are in each one of the funnels.
There you go. We'll put that in the show description. So just click on the show descriptions, folks. That way you can see it. And that's the info@centrustfs.com. That's just where you basically shoot an email over to them and they'll just send it out to you. But we'll put that link to make it easy for you. And as always, check the show notes for different links that we may have. If you want to go check out the taxtimebomb.com, Jude's got a calculator on there you can run through and check out from a tax standpoint. So we'll put all that stuff in the show note links. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify for the audio version, and of course YouTube for the video version. So make sure you check that out. Hit that little like and the thumbs up so you catch new episodes when they come out. And we'll see you next time here on The Roth Guy with Jude Wilson. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, my friend. Always enjoy.
We'll catch you next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Financial planning and advisory services are offered through Prosperity Capital Advisors, PCA, an SEC-registered investment advisor with its principal place of business in the state of Ohio. Centrus Financial Strategies and PCA are separate, non-affiliated entities. PCA does not provide tax or legal advice. Insurance and tax services offered through Centrus Financial Strategies are not affiliated with PCA. Information received from this podcast should not be viewed as individual investment advice. Product discussions and illustrations are hypothetical in nature and will vary based on many factors, including but not limited to age, health, product, insurance carrier, and product design. You should consult the insurance carrier website and policy for detailed information. For information pertaining to the registration status of PCA, please contact the firm or refer to the Investment Advisor Public Disclosure website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov. For additional information about PCA, including fees and services, send for our disclosure statement as set forth on Form ADV from PCA using the contact information herein. Please read the disclosure statement carefully before you invest or send money.